Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the DC Capstone Report. It's great to be back with you this day, live here for our podcast on Alabama football. Thank you so much for tuning in each and every week. Lance and I are excited every week. We see the number of people that's watched or viewed our podcast, and it just amazes us that many people want to listen to what we have to say about Alabama football. I remind you, Lance Shorge is the one that makes all this work back in the studio production. He does everything. And if you hadn't had a chance to check out his websites, do so. freelancepictures.com and rolltidebama.com. He got some great pictures up from this past weekend. It was family weekend here on campus, and we were flooded with an influx of parents for the first time seeing their kids. And he's got some great pictures for the $1 Million Band, the Crimson Nets, the cheerleaders, the football players. Just a great opportunity for you to go there and take a look at all the great Alabama content. Well, this week on the podcast, we're going to take a look in the first segment and review the past game against the Ole Miss Rebels. In the second segment, we're going to talk about our players of the game against Ole Miss. And in our third final segment, we're going to look and preview the upcoming matchup against the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
You're listening to the DC Capstone Report. The DC Capstone Report is featured each Tuesday morning on the Martin Houston Show at Tide 100.9. You can listen live at Tide100.9.com.
Well, welcome back to the DC Capstone Report. Thanks again for tuning in this week. Love for you to go out there and like us on Facebook, reshare our podcast to everybody that you know. Try to get our name out there for folks that may not know us and may not be listening to us, but this week here, we're on the first segment. We're going to take a look at and review the game against the Ole Miss Rebels. Well, I missed the score, folks. I missed the score. I underestimated our defense and what our defense could do in this game. So pleased with our defense. But I had said the score would be 44-27, and it was 24-10, holding the Ole Miss Rebels to 10 points. So my first point of the review of the game is how great our defense played. And I think it's a monumental task to hold a Lane Kiffin offense to 10 points. And that's an offense that in two prior games been averaging 52 points a game. So really getting them 42 points below their average in this game, to me, was really great defense. I thought the way that Kevin Steele had designed the defensive team to pressure with four, occasionally run a different linebacker in there, I thought they did a great job of doing that, but holding them to 10 points. And not only that, they have to establish the run in order to make their offense go. And we held them to less than 100 yards. We almost held them less than 50 yards. I think they had 56 yards rushing in the game. But just a great play by the defense across the board. Thought the defensive line did well. We got some pretty good pressure on Jackson Dart. I think he did make some plays with his leg. The only touchdown that they made was with his legs, but it was a formation play. It was one of those where Lane Kiffin used our defense against us, put all of his players out there so everybody was covered, and it opened the wide open middle. And our forward linemen weren't able to close to the middle and make Jackson Dart stay in the pocket. He actually was able to run on a design quarterback draw to get into the end zone, and so we should have been looking for that down there, but that's probably about the only defensive mistake that I saw during the game. It was just a matter of formations and not being able to get our eye on what they were doing pre-snap. But still, overall, I think our defense played so well in this game, and we need to credit Kevin Steele, Tavarius Robinson, and all the other defensive coaches who had this game plan up and ready for this team. Ole Miss is a good team, and they stretch the field. They spread out. They run the ball, and they dedicated themselves to the run, and they kept running, and we were able to stop it. So I think that's a big part of this game. I think our defense holding them to 10 points was huge as well. So overall, great play of the defense. Had some big hits in this game too. I think we're back to trying to punish our opponent. I think we got a couple of penalties on that, maybe a sort of a suspect on a roughing the passer call. But I think we had also a player who may have ducked his head on a special teams play and got called for targeting. and lost him for the game. But I think overall we were in great position. Love the way our defense back played in this game with their head turned around, knocking some balls around. We got a turnover. Defense caused an interception turnover in this game and had a lot of pass breakups and some hard hitting. Jackson Dart was really animated at first, running the ball real well and taking some hits, but then he was hit a couple of times by our linebackers and our safeties that caused him to rethink that and start to going into a more slide mode. And by the end of the game, you can see that he was affected by the play. I think he was kind of banged up and he was affected by the pressure that he was getting and also by the sacks and the hits that he took. So overall, defense, great play in this game against Ole Miss. Let's switch over to the offense. Well, the first half was sluggish start, the offense. And I credit that to, just a lot of different things. But, I think Jalen Milroe overall had a great game in this game. I think he came out and established himself well after getting benched, came back and played. He did have a major turnover in this game, and it was because they dropped into a different defense. I call it the robber defense. I think Coach Saban called it something else. He actually kind of analyzed it during the halftime of what they got into, or after the game what they got into. But it was something that Milroe should have been able to see and read, and he didn't make a good read there. But he bounced back from that and later make some really good reads, and we saw him do some progression. But I want to go back to this, and this is my opinion, and I think that some of you will probably disagree with me on this. But I think that my question is to the offensive coordinator and the offensive play calling down there. Why inside the 10-yard line with a short field and a compact coverage would you put your quarterback in a position to have to read something like a robber defense in that situation? Why in the world do you put him in that position? Why are you throwing the ball down there? My thought is run the ball in the red zone. I don't understand why. You got a great quarterback run. You got running backs that are running the ball. You got a good big defensive line. You can push them off and gain 2 or 3 yards at a time. Why put your quarterback in that position? So, I blame Jalen Milroe. He made the wrong read. He threw the wrong ball. He threw it into a place where it was intercepted. That was his fault. It's on him. But I go back before that and blame the offensive coordinator. Why do you put your quarterback who in that position to make that throw? Why do you call that pass? My position is there you should be running the ball. So I think that we were sluggish in the first half in execution, and I think we were sluggish at play calling. I believe we came out in the second half and we had a major turnaround. I thought the play calling was much better. I think dedicating to the run in the game was much better. And using Milroe's strengths. His strengths are run the ball, play action pass deep down the field. And when he does that, that is his strengths. Why are you making him throw the wide outs? Why are you making him read the defenses? Run the ball, and then keep him honest in the secondary by throwing that play action pass. One of the commentators was a former defensive back in the NFL, and he said, run the ball. You're going to make that safeties creep up, and eventually you'll hit them deep, and that Milroe throws a deep ball. He didn't understand why the offensive coordinator wasn't taking advantage of Milroe's skill sets to do that. So I think we did that better in the second half. Everybody, I think, on offense played better. Running backs ran the ball well, and we really did a good job of coming out and running the ball, play action passing, hitting on some deep balls. So I think we still got some work to do on the offensive line. I think we got the work to do on penalties that stopped us. We had some stopper penalties. We shouldn't be able to put ourselves behind the chains on first down. There's no reason we need to have a offsides or a illegal procedure or illegal motion. We should have all that under control by this time of the year. So I think we still got some cleanup on the offensive line. I think he looked at some different positions. I saw, Terrence Ferguson at right guard. I saw Elijah Pritchett out at the left tackle some. So I think they're still looking at that to see what the best options are. But I think we've got to get that nailed down and make the best decisions on the line so that we can effectively run the ball and then set up the passes for play action passes. My point of the offense from there on out is this. Play to Milroe's strengths. Don't make him a pocket passer. Don't do that. Play to his strengths. And I believe that in this game, the Ole Miss, we saw what the second half could do when we play to its strengths. So if we do that the rest of the season, we're going to be just fine. Well, here we are back in the second segment here on the DC Capstone Report. Thank you all for tuning in today. We really appreciate you. We appreciate our sponsors, freelancepictures.com and rolltidebama.com. So go out there and look at those sites for some great content. Lance does a great job. And also our sponsor that allows us to be here with you each and every week is Karen Cottingham, Realtor, right here in Tuscaloosa with the Williams Group at Keller Williams. So reach out to Karen for all your real estate needs. She is all over the state of Alabama. Wherever in Alabama you need to buy a house, sell a house, she can do it for you. So reach out to Karen at 205-887-4008 or check out her listings online at www.karen.thewilliamsgroupal.com. That's Karen Cottingham, Realtor, for all your real estate needs. Well, right here on the second segment, we're going to take a look at our players of the game. Well, this week I came down to two players again, trying to get it narrowed down to who did the best, So on offensive players, I could have picked a couple of guys. You could have went with Jalen Hale, freshman who we hadn't heard much of this year, but came out in this game. We heard that the coaches are really high on him. Tommy Reese likes him. He had 2 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown. Jermaine Burton did well. He had 2 receptions for 62 yards. Both of those are really, really good on deep passes he was able to catch. Both of them did a good job. But I landed on the player that I thought controlled the second half, and that is Jace McClellan, running back from Texas, senior. Last week it was Roydell Williams. This week it's Jace McClellan. We actually have a 2-headed monster there that I think does a really, really, really good job at running the ball. And he had 17 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown. And I really think Jace McClellan did a good job blocking when he was in there. Did a good job with the workhorse of running the ball. A 6.2 yard average. And that's why I say run the ball. If you got a running back that's have a 6.2 yard average, then you run the ball until they stop the run. And then when they stop it, you run it again to let them know that you're going to continue to dedicate to that run. And then you do that play action pass and hit that deep ball down the seam for a touchdown, for a big play. And so I really believe that's what we got with these 2 running backs in Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams. But my offensive player of the game against Ole Miss is Jace McClellan. Well, let's go over to the defensive side of the ball and see. In this game, Deontay Lawson went out with an injury, and Jihad Campbell came in and really did a good job. He could have been my defensive player of the game. He had 7 tackles in this game. Again, my defensive player from last week, Malachi Moore, he had a great game with 5 tackles and a sack on the very last there. So he did a great job. But my player of the game in this game on defense had to be Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold, number 3, out there on an island at cornerback all by himself opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry. Has his ups and downs. Has had some games where he played better than others. But in this particular game, I thought he isolated well on their receivers, did a great job covering the deep ball, getting his head turned around. He had several pass breakups. He had 6 tackles and 2 assists, and then that 1 interception with a very nice run back. Terrion Arnold's got some wheels. He can really run very fast. You take that kickoff back in the game before this and got called back for a penalty, but he has really got some wheels. So he did a good job not only intercepting the ball, but getting some real good field position when he returned that interception. And I think that's something that we need. We need some turnovers on defense, some ball hawkers on defense. And I really believe Terrion Arnold did that. But what I loved about it was he turned his head, he got his head around. When the ball was in the air, was able to bat it down. He made a couple of pass breakups with really good coverage and really thought he had a good game. So Terrion Arnold is my defensive player of the game against Ole Miss. So on offense, my player of the game is Jace McClellan, and on defense, player of the game is Terrion Arnold. Well, welcome back, everyone. Back again here on the DC Capstone Report for our 3rd and final segment, and this is where we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Well, we're going to be making a trip across the state line to Starkville, Mississippi. And boy, it's a late game. Kickoff is sometime right after 8 o'clock at night. So it's going to be a late game. I think one of the things about this game, first of all, just from the big picture, we got to keep our team into this game. We got to get them motivated, get them pumped up at the right point where they peak at the right point at game time, since the game is kind of late. It's probably one of the latest starting games that they've had so far this year, and so it'll be interesting to see how the team comes out. We don't need to come out flat. We need to come out pumped up, because right there in Starkville, we're gonna see all those cowbells, all the people dressed in their maroon. They're gonna be shaking those cowbells, and it's gonna be loud. So we're gonna need to play, be on our best bet to get our best effort forward. So we don't need to come out flat in this game. So that's one thing to look for. The kick is late, so come out really pumped up for the game. Come out into the game. If we go out there and sleepwalk through the first half of this game, we could be behind early. So our defense is going to come out and set the tone. Got to quieten the crowd and play Alabama football to the Alabama standard on defense. We just came off a good game against Ole Miss. Now we go back to play the other Mississippi team, Mississippi State, and we have an opportunity to establish ourselves really good on defense in this game as well. So what do we have to do on defense? They had a great quarterback that can really throw the ball. He just has 300 or 400 yards every game, does a good job of throwing the ball downfield. This year, without that air raid offense, it's kind of a hybrid. They're doing more play action passes, running the ball, set up some play action passes, but have some great players to take the ball deep. So we got to cover the deep ball in this game. And we've got to be able to cover well, because they have players in all kinds of formations running, especially across formations, close to the line of scrimmage, and then taking it deep to the flag. So we got to be aware of that. We got to be ready for that. I think the past Texas game took advantage of our players in some way that way. And this past game against Ole Miss, a couple of their big plays were running across the face of the defense and going deep to the flag. So can't let all those receivers that they have out in patterns in Mississippi State get lost in coverage. So we got to stop the run, and we got to cover good, and we got to cover the deep ball on defense. Well, one way that you can help that is put pressure on the quarterback. We've got to keep the quarterback, Rodgers, in the pocket. We've got to keep him in the pocket. We got to put pressure on him, and we got to get to the quarterback. So I believe defense in this game is going to be paramount to get to the quarterback fast, so he can doesn't have a chance to make those reads, because they have a lot of patterns that are long developing, especially their deep balls. So make sure we get to the quarterback, hit him hard, and hit him early, so that it affects his play throughout the game. So it's going to be really, really important for us to get pressure on the quarterback. Do we do that with our 4 and rush 1? Do we blitz? However we do that, we've got to get pressure on him fast and keep him in the pocket. And another thing about keeping the pocket is, our third thing on defense is we have to make sure that we get off the field on third down. We can't let him extend plays. We got to keep him in the pocket and get him behind the line of scrimmage, and don't let him extend plays on third down. He's very deceptive. He can actually run the ball. Rodgers has been their quarterback for quite a while, and he can actually run the ball and get out of the pocket and really make a difference. So we've got to keep him in the pocket and get off the field on third down. If we do that, our defense can establish themselves early, put a lot of pressure on them, and stop the run. I think we can hold them in this game and do a good job on defense. So what do we need to do on offense? I've already said it over and over today. I hope our offensive coordinator and the offensive schemers in this game have got it under control, with the knowledge that what we need to do is play to Milroe's strengths. He's our quarterback. Play to his strengths. Don't put him in positions to have to do things that he is not his strength. So don't run the ball in the don't throw the ball in the red zone. Run the ball. Run the ball, run the ball. Run the ball to set up the play action passes and take advantage of the great deep ball that he throws, and get some chunk plays and get some explosive plays and get some touchdowns. But run the ball. We have 2 great running backs that we can establish the run in this game. So run the ball and play action passing on offense. That's as simple as it gets. Use some runs for Milroe. Set up some sweeps for Milroe. Run the ball with the running backs, and then throw deep for play action passes to set up. If we set that up with a run, we'll have some players running wide open for big plays in this game. The next thing is we have to limit our mistakes and turnovers. We don't need any turnovers in this game. Turnovers on a road game gets the crowd involved, and we don't need them any more involved. We have to make sure our turnovers are limited, no turnovers, and limit our mistakes for penalties. We got to make sure we limit those penalties. And the final thing that we have to do on offense, somehow, some way, we have got to get a handle on what is wrong with the snap. The snap has to be on time in the right place. No more low snaps, no more high snaps. We've got to get everything in order. If you're inside the 10-yard line, don't get in the shotgun and ask him to snap it. Get under center and run the ball under center. I know we're a shotgun team, but there's no reason you can't practice under center enough inside the 10-yard line so we don't have those glaring mistakes. We've got to get control of that snap somehow, some way. So if we limit our turnovers and mistakes, we clean up the center snap exchanges, we run the ball and set up for play action passes, we win this game handily. So I think if our defense plays the way that they should play, that I think they're going to play, and I think that the offense does what we should do, play to Milroe strengths and run the ball, then I think Alabama comes away with a great victory in this game. And I got Alabama winning this game, Alabama 38, Mississippi State 17. That's Alabama 38, Mississippi State 17. Well, I think Alabama is poised for a great year if we can get past this road game here against Mississippi State and establish that we are back. I think it's a great year. You know, as I said before, folks, all we got to do is win every game in front of us, and everything that we've ever wanted to play for is still there. Just got to keep improving and keep getting better, and I think this Alabama team can do just that. Well, that's it for the DC Capstone Report this week. Don't forget our sponsors, RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com, and also Karen Cottingham with the Williams Group at Keller Williams for all your real estate needs. That's Karen Cottingham at 205-887-4008. Until next week, this is DC with the DC Capstone Report signing off with a big Roll Tide.